from Marriott, Sally Toister. First, some supporters to thank, and thank you for listening. Here it is, the fully integrated cloud CX platform that you need to act smarter, respond faster, and be first in CX. Now you can turn innovation into value, scale up when you need, and add new capabilities whenever the situation demands it. One experience, a single unified solution for employees and customers. One cloud, a single cloud offering based on AWS public cloud technology. One path for migration to the CXone platform. The fully integrated cloud customer experience platform from NICE, allowing you to be first in CX. Visit nice.com for more. Leaders responsible for operations, information technology, customer experience, contact centers, customer care, service and support are invited to register for a free CCW digital membership. Membership includes networking with 100,000 plus qualified industry professionals, quarterly executive research reports, product matchmaking, and more. Go to ccwdigital.com to join the community. That's ccwdigital.com.
Toister.
Uh-huh.
Toiste.
It's like
Toister.
a combination between Toaster and Toy Story.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Married into it.
Well,
yeah.
Oh, you see, you married into it. But the Toy Story thing, that's more recent than anything else, I would imagine.
Yeah.
What kind of last name is that?
It has Russian roots.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. What's your maiden name?
Coleman.
Oh, that's so much easier.
Yeah, right.
And then you just went into this whole thing,
yeah, I
guess.
From camping equipment to
exactly.
Toister
I mean, is there any relation? One would.
No.
Okay. So
I wouldn't be here right now.
I gotcha. No matter how much you care about CX,
That's right?
Yeah.
That's right.
So Sally Toister, thank you for giving us a few minutes. Yes. Let's start there. You're a Six Sigma person. But I saw you on a panel yesterday. We're at the OPEX Summit, by the way. I saw you on this CX panel as though you really do care about the customer experience.
Absolutely.
Okay,
I care about the customer experience. Yes. Yes, our entire business is around customer experience.
I was going to say hospitality, yes. But I feel like your point of view wasn't hospitality-based. You know, it was, yes, of course, we're taking care of our customers, but it's not because we're a hospitality company that I care this much about CX. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
All right. So what am I talking about?
Well, and it probably comes from the fact that my background is beyond hospitality. I actually came into the hospitality organization as a Six Sigma practitioner and was taught the hospitality business and adapting Six Sigma into hospitality. So I've been in Six Sigma programs since 1995.
Oh, we're going to talk about that. Yeah,
all right.
That's exciting. But you gave a couple of examples of, kind of coming in and looking at menus and looking at the way folks kind of behave, the way your customers behave and what they do and what you're willing to accept as a business and, what you'd like to improve. Just take us through the thinking as far as, the project that I'm talking about.
Sure. And there's, and always a balance, right? We're a business. We're at the root of it. We are a business, but yes, we are a business based on customers' experiences. And so there's always that balance that you have to have when you're looking at from a process improvement and driving the customer experience. There has to be a balance in the focus of the bottom line and delivering the business metrics that are needed, but as well as delivering outstanding experience for the guest and that they build that loyalty and want to continue to come back and be with your company on an ongoing basis. And
make as many sales as we possibly can, but this customer still has to have an outstanding experience.
Correct.
And so what is the Venn diagram and where do they overlap and where do they not overlap is what I feel like you were saying, right? Right,
exactly. And so it's that almost the freedom within the framework where the example I was giving yesterday around menu selection had to do with we have a unique set of guests that travel and stay in our hotels for longer stays than normal. So you're talking about the people who are there 5 nights a week, 7+ weeks at a time. They're really living in your hotel versus a 1 to 2 night stay. And so how they live in the hotel is different than if you come for a conference or if you're on vacation with your family. And menu selection is one of them. And so from looking at it, what we had was we have a core menu program in which you'll find the same offerings from hotel to hotel within the same brand, and it's something that you come to know and love as a guest of the hotel. Your favorites are there. It also has a business aspect to it, of looking at it from a food cost element. And so when you're staying with us 5 nights a week, that menu can get a little tiring.
Sure.
So there has to be that balance of how do you meet the needs of that guest, but also meet the business needs of managing food costs and managing production and quality within the kitchen. And so that's where we had turned it back to the associates and said, help us solve for this problem, knowing that here's the business need, but we want to create a unique experience for the guest, for this particular guest. And that was where we drew on the expertise of our chefs in the kitchen, and we also drew upon the expertise of our associates that serve them every day to come up with those opportunities.
So one of the outcomes was we can use these same ingredients,
yes,
Sally, and we're going to give them a whole different thing.
Yes.
Right? That same guest. And it's okay, fine, check the box. I think that you shocked and awed the audience that was watching the panel when you talked about the other solution, which had to do with information, right?
Right, around the associates and providing. Yes, we also recognize that a guest isn't going to dine with us 100% of the time, right? We're human. And so drawing into the associates part of it was that, okay, well, we're going to create a solution for the in-house option to bring them and have them stay, but how can we engage the associates and have them talk about their favorites? And so being in a downtown market, it was, there's always the touristy spots that you could go to, but let's give you the inside tips of where are our favorites. If I was going out with my friends or my family tonight, where would I go and dine?
Right.
And so providing that little bit of insight created a connection between our associates and our guest as well.
Your colleagues were very surprised that you were, in quotation marks, giving up that sale.
Right.
Why is it giving up that sale? Why is it not giving up that sale? What is this entire kind of the bigger CX picture around that appetizer that we didn't push? Right. You know what I mean? Well,
and it's also recognizing the fact that we the business wasn't there to give up. They were already dining elsewhere, right?
Yeah.
So it's acknowledging the fact that we know they're not already there 100% of the time, and being realistic about that. Right. So it's one thing to say we've lost and we're giving away the business. It's another to say we already know it's going out the door. But in essence, we're bringing business back by creating the unique menu options and capturing that portion of it, and then creating a stronger connection with our guest through the external. And so all of that added together, when you're looking at the larger metric of loyalty, you're creating that relationship with the guest that'll continue on forward and probably ultimately grow market share in the end because they'll choose you.
There you go. But you called loyalty a metric. Are we talking about Net Promoter Score? What are we? How are you making loyalty a metric, I wonder?
Right. So we actually, in the case at the time of this project, we actually utilized a composite score based on three answers on the survey that led to what was loyalty. So likely to recommend, likely to return, those type metrics on the survey that then became our consolidated loyalty score.
Okay. You like metrics, I would imagine.
Sure.
You're a Six Sigma person.
Right.
I mean, the whole thing is metric. How do we make it a metric, right?
Right.
So how did you, where did your belt journey begin?
So my belt journey began back in 1995, actually. I'm one of those unusual people where I'm actually putting my college degree exactly where it was. My degree was in business analysis, production operations management.
Look at that. Where?
Yeah, Texas A&M.
Okay, Aggies.
Yes,
Go Aggies, right?
Yes.
Are you from Texas?
I am. Born and raised in Houston.
In Houston, 713.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. All
now
right.
281.
Oh, is it? I see.
Expanded area codes,
I
yes.
see what happened. And then how did we make the decision to go to A&M?
I do have a couple family members that have gone there, and my brother actually went there.
Yeah.
And being on campus, I just fell in love with the campus lifestyle and the history of tradition and camaraderie at Texas A&M.
Says what is 500 people per graduating class? No. That place is huge,
yes,
right?
It is pretty large.
College Station, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Yeah. So when did you realize that you're going to do this wacky thing?
Of Six Sigma and process, or
in school, you said you got the degree.
Actually,
when did you find that as
pathway?
a major?
And actually, it was benefit of a great advisor.
Okay.
I actually was ready to graduate. I finished my fourth year, And my original degree was still in business analysis, but it was on an MIT track. And when I started interviewing for jobs, I was like, I do not want to be programming for 5 years. This is not for me. And so I actually went back to my freshman counselor, and I talked with her, and she guided me to this. At the time, it was a new pathway in business analysis. There were only 12 of us in the class, I think, maybe 15. And she helped me find that map, and I invested another year in school and got on the right track for me professionally. So great educators.
Huge. Now, of course, mentors and educators, and thank you. But that's a huge decision for that person who's a senior to make.
Yes.
How did you reckon with that? Because there was nothing that was stopping me from graduating in 4 years when I was, at that moment in time.
Yeah.
What was it for you?
Again, that great conversation with my advisor and helping me map out to realize that I only needed to go summer, fall, and spring, 3 more semesters to finish off the degree. And I remember, it's going to timing, but I do remember picking up the payphone to call my mom and say, hey, this is where I am. And her response was, oh, thank goodness that degree was so not for you. And I had the full support. I was like, why didn't you tell me earlier? And she was like, you need to discover it on your own.
Exactly. She knows that if she told you, you wouldn't have listened, and then you would have graduated anyway.
Exactly. So I, again, fortunate of great support between advisor and
parents and the whole thing.
The whole
Look
network.
at how much love you have in your life.
I know. I'm so fortunate. I am incredibly fortunate.
What was that first job out of school then?
Yeah, so first job out of school, actually, I was I was involved in college with an organization called ISEC, which is an international group that focuses on exchanges. And so my first job out of college was actually at Guinness in Dublin, Ireland. As an intern.
I've done that tour.
Yes.
That is quite a place. I'm sure you have. My goodness. What did you learn from the Guinness Brewery, which has been going for hundreds of years, right?
Yeah. No, it was actually really fascinating. So my internship was actually in IT. And because that's where my first major was, I guess you could call it. And I finished up assignments they had me for the summer earlier, and I'd mentioned that I had this bug really enjoyed my process improvement course that I had in college, and they had ISO 9000.
Oh, yeah.
And
big time at the time.
Yeah, big time at the time. And so they let me go for a couple weeks over and hang out with the ISO 9000 team at Guinness, and it was absolutely fascinating, and got to do quality testing at 7 a.m., which was fun. I think it was a joke on the Americans to have us doing the testing at that time.
Sure.
And I really got more exposure there. And so when I came back after that internship, I actually started dating my now husband while we were in Ireland together. He was still in school in Boston, and I said, you know what, I'm going to give it 3 weeks, and if I find a job, I'll stick around. And fortunately for me, I was, unlike in Texas, where there was a lot of us coming out of the schools, up in Massachusetts, the degree was an unusual degree.
You were unique.
I was very
in
unique.
The Northeast.
I was unique in the Northeast,
right.
And I landed a job that had me as an operations supervisor, and that's where I got my Greenbelt training.
Got it.
Actually, a company that was primarily owned by GE.
Okay, so that makes all the sense in the world.
So they did the Greenbelt training, and I just, as soon as I was raising my hand going, me,
Yeah. So you were hooked.
I was hooked from 1995 on.
I got it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And then when did you stay with that company to get the black belt, or did you get that somewhere else?
So I transitioned before I got the black belt there, and then I got my black belt certification at the next company I was at that was here in San Diego.
What company was that?
So it was at the time it was called it's WIS International now. It's a company that takes physical inventories for retail companies.
Oh wow!
And so we used Lean as a competitive differential.
Mm-hmm.
There were only 2 national companies, and
right.
So we offered the program up for free with our retail partners. We would run Kaizen events with them and helping them save money on their inventory processes with the goal of growing market share for us. So
and this is pre-Amazon days, right?
Pre-Amazon days.
This is pre-retail apocalypse
yes.
is what is upon us.
Yes.
Do you have thoughts about that, being that you worked for an inventory company that serviced retail organizations?
Well, it's an interesting, everybody still needs to count stuff, right?
Sure.
They still need to know what their product is in-house. And so it's still a thriving business, but it also, you have to think about diversification. So there are other things that you can count. and there are other things that you can participate in. It's adapting those skill sets to other markets. And so at the time I left the company, that was one of the things they were looking at is what other industries can these skill sets be used in? Is there an opportunity to participate with census-related items? Are there, where else and what else can be counted?
Yeah.
That's opportunity there.
That's where they're going. As far as retail itself, do you have any thoughts? No, you're a hospitality person, right? Because did you jump to Marriott at that point? Because you've been there
at Starwood, yes.
Yeah.
At the time, Starwood in 2005.
Oh, so Starwood. So you're an original Starwood person.
I started with Starwood into the Six Sigma program, and then
we're here at the Westin. So this is home.
This is home.
This is not an adopted home. This is the real home.
And in fact, my real first home with Starwood is just across the street at the other Westin.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, so it's really home.
Yeah, in the Gaslamp district. The
hotel. Yeah, right, Westin San Diego Gaslamp.
Okay, all right. So Starwood and Marriott are two different organizations. Not anymore.
No,
but
right.
What I mean by that is they felt different. And when I heard the news that they were going to be the same organization, it was surprising to me. Before we get to that, take us back to when you started at Starwood. Give us a sense of the culture of the organization.
Just in general or from a Six Sigma standpoint?
Both. First in general, then Six Sigma.
Yeah, sure. When I started in 2005, first of all, it was fresh for me, right? And it's as an operator and as a guest of hotels, I was absolutely fascinated by the mini villages that happen behind back of house to make hotels run.
Yep.
And it was, I've never seen someone geek out in a laundry department like I did the first time I saw laundry operations in hotels. And so it was really fascinating to see. And at the time that I joined, there was a lot of branding initiatives going on within Starwood. And so Westin, Sheraton, W brands, we all had our focus, our 3 words, our commitment words, and understanding how do we deliver culturally to that for the guests and creating those unique experiences, journey mapping, understanding who our customer was. And then from a Six Sigma standpoint, we're about 4 years into our maturity of a program and shifting from a largely grassroots initiative to more of corporate-driven initiatives and aligning with the partners along with branding. We have this new approach. We know who our guest is. We know how we have to service our guests. How do we design and build the processes behind it to support that and deliver of it? So that was a lot of the culture at the time when I started. So, very fascinating. And being over at Westin Gaslamp, it was really easy. It's, we knew it. Our mantra was, have the guest leave feeling better when they arrived. And so what are the processes that we need to put in place so that the associates could deliver on that promise every day?
Give us just a quick one so that we understand exactly what you're talking about, because when I check in, I know what to expect. I'm the guy that puts down the credit card and my driver's license before you ask.
Right.
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 Not, right. You're front of your check-in. No. But that. So I know what experience I'm about to have.
Right.
How are you, going to make my experience possibly better?
Correct. And that's, and it's really anticipating your needs is what the focus was. So in understanding those different customer journeys and the different mapping that we have. So we know you're the business traveler probably coming in. You're ready to get to your room as quickly as possible, get settled in. You really don't want to have a conversation with me. So it's covering those basics. How was your travel? How was your safe? Get you processed as quickly as possible.
Right.
Right? Different guests might come in they're there with their family. They want to know what tours might be available the next day. So it's really educating that front desk agent of how, and again, this is more from that customer experience standpoint, how to differentiate the guest and how to create their journey from the beginning. And so we had a lot of trip personas, cards that we would have and educate out to our associates to how do you identify which trip personas, what we called them.
Right.
And then what are processes that you would want to do. So, knowing that you probably don't want to come and have a long leisurely breakfast in our restaurant. So, but you may be more inclined to want to know what our fitness hours are. So understanding, recognizing that, not to say, hey, brunch is served tomorrow from 9 a.m. Like, great, I'll be out the door at 6:30. Right,
exactly.
But you may be interested in a running map, or you may want to know how to access the fitness center. So those were types of processes that we would put in place at the time to really help understand and translate to the trip persona.
And then much more recently, Marriott says, we've got a good idea. Why don't we as far as family is concerned, become a family, right? How much did that change things? Because this is a family business. It's a huge family business, but the Marriott thing is family, or am I mistaken? Oh no,
it's family, and it's the mantra there is take care of our people, and our people will take care of our guests. And so it's all around that process. And I think from a Six Sigma standpoint, it was a natural draw because we're focused on solving the pain points of our guests, which falls right in line with that take care of our people, and our people will take care of our guest philosophy. And so we've hit the ground running, coming over, merged as one, and I think we always kept that iron curtain pretty tight against our competition. So It's been fun to open it up and expand the offerings, and it's been very well received, and early on with adoption of wanting to learn more about how can I be a better business operator through the use of process improvement tools.
Sounds like the overlay really did fit very well. What process improvement tools did they have that you were like, ooh, new toolbox?
Yeah,
right?
so Marriott a few years ago launched into Covey's 4 disciplines of execution.
Okay.
And so they have, all of their hotels have that, and we're now rolling that out to the Starwood side. And when we started evaluating the programs, we realized what a perfect marriage it was between the two, because the discipline of the process and designing aligned with the discipline of here's my wildly important goal and what I'm going to focus on. The gaps of both programs aligned perfectly. And so it's exciting to see where we're going to go with that alignment and marriage of those two programs to say, okay, here's our one wildly important focus area, and then instead of throwing darts at what we're going to do to move that, Six Sigma is now bringing in the process tools of it to say, we've identified what that leading metric is. Now let's use the discipline of Six Sigma to target improvement to move the needle on that metric. So it's an exciting opportunity.
There you go. And any process improvement executive knows it really doesn't matter what we're doing as long as we identify the metric, as you just said. It's about the process of getting it done. So we don't need to worry about brand. And then you have how many brands?
30. We have 30 brands.
So explain that, right? So if I'm a customer experience executive and I'm, really focused on the brand and that means a lot to me, or I'm a process improvement executive and the brand doesn't even necessarily matter. Here I am with 30 brands,
Right. And so our structure, the way we have it on the Starwood side, and again, is just slowly moving over this first year into the Marriott side, but we have our Six Sigma community comprised of green belts and black belts that actually sit at the property level. And so green belts, it's an additional skill set to your core operating role and responsibility. And then a black belt is a full-time dedicated position that sits on the executive team reporting into the general manager. And we have those that are larger hotels or more complex hotels. That's where that position sits. So what's nice about that is the community of Six Sigma sits where the work happens. It's really at the Gemba, right? It's where our guests come and operate. And so where it's direct alignment with the general manager, it's really focusing on what those core values are for that hotel, regardless of brand. Because even within the brand, say this Westin that we're at here has different challenges than a Westin in a suburban environment or a Westin resort environment. And so by arming them with the tools of this is how you adopt it in to be a better operator, it's really helping them to achieve their overall business metrics and their overall goals, and we say driving operational excellence. So you use the tools of Six Sigma to drive operational excellence at your hotels. And so really it is brand agnostic, the way that we have it set up and operate in the structure. And when we see those resources pop over to a new brand, it's not about learning how does this align with the brand, it's how do I draw upon the tools to solve my current business problem that I have today.
Which happens to be this brand's whatever.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. Or this hotel within this brand.
Even better.
Right.
As you corrected me the first time, and I'm still staying on the brand that it's down to the hotel level.
It's down to the hotel level.
Down to the property level.
Correct. The challenges of a 250-room Courtyard is going to be much different than an 1,800-room Sheraton in New York City. Or even within a brand. A Sheraton New York City is going to be way different than a 400-room Sheraton in a suburban market.
I tried to discuss disruption through retail with you earlier, and we didn't take that. You know where I'm going. I'm going to Airbnb,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
So what are the conversations that you have as a process person? Because you're talking to a kindred spirit. I'm not a fan of the Airbnb offering. But we don't have to talk about me. Let's talk about you.
I'm not a fan either.
Well, sure. But what are you doing within, process improvement to make sure that we prove out, here's what we've got, which you can't necessarily get there.
Right. Well, number one, you have to understand who your customer is, right? And so within our program, Six Sigma is traditionally looked at, or operational excellence frequently looked at as a cost-cutting initiative.
Sure.
And we don't...
Not the way you talk about it, by the way. You don't, cost cutting doesn't seem to be first on your mind in anything that you've said.
Right.
Yeah.
No, and that's where I was going with it. It's that we take a large look at how do we drive revenue, how do we grow market share, what do we look at it? And so aligning it from that standpoint, yes, cost is going to naturally come with it. So it's understanding who our guest is, yes, the whys, go to the toolbox. Why are they selecting Airbnb? What is it that is driving them to that? What are those features? It's obviously flexibility. It's obviously some features that account for. Some of it could be price, and then partnering because we bring a skill set to the table. We're not experts of any particular discipline. We bring that partnership to our sales team and say, okay, we understand that these are the driving factors of why a guest might be selecting Airbnb. This is why we know that maybe they're not selecting us. How can we apply those tools to make a shift within recapturing that market share?
Right.
Do we need to streamline our processes so our response times are higher, that we can close a booking window? So, it's not that we're booking 6 months out maybe for a group to come and stay with us, but it's 6 weeks out that we have that flexibility. So it's really how can we partner with them, bring the tools to the table to solve for capturing, the problem of why guests don't book with us.
I get the sense, because I'm not a black belt or a green belt, that
You
there's
should be.
Right. Well, this is my point. That there's you guys and there's everybody else. Is that a fair thing?
Well, and it's interesting.
You're either Six Sigma or you're not type of thing, right?
There is that perception that's out there.
Yeah.
And
I'm saying, do you have that perception?
Well, I don't know if I have that. I mean, we bring a skill set to the table, right? I would never assume to be able to go out and sell $1 million piece of business.
Right.
I can't do that.
Cannot do it, right?
Right. So that's not my skill set, but I appreciate those skill sets in the same way that Six Sigma, and we partner together. To collectively, when we bring all the skill sets together, is what really drives operational excellence and customer experience. When you look at that all together, because we need each other to solve for that and to capture it for a business.
Which is part of the process to begin with.
Correct.
Right? We
Correct.
need these people and those people.
Correct.
All right. So there you have it, right? There you have all the people. There you have all the process. There you have all the product. And we continue on to tomorrow, right?
Yes.
So I have 3 final questions for you. I'll tell you what they are, and then I'll ask you them in order.
Okay.
What has most surprised you at work along the way?
At work?
Yeah.
Okay.
What's most surprised you in life? And then on the soundtrack of your life, one track, one song that's got to be on there, which we'll get to.
Oh, my Lord. I needed these questions yesterday.
Yeah. What's most surprised you at work?
I would say surprising me at work has been the openness and willingness in in the hospitality environment for structure around process. And so, and I guess what I mean by that is that it's really easy in the environment of hotels to do whatever is needed to service every guest. And that can lead you down a rabbit hole
Sure.
of doing, and in effect, maybe not being able to properly service another guest because of that issue. So in the Starwood environment and in the Marriott environment, the welcomingness for structure and process, knowing that structure and process sometimes has the perception that it takes away from being able to service the guest. And in this environment, it's embraced and understood that it enhances the guest experience.
Let's remember that Ritz-Carlton is under the Marriott banner, right?
Yes, and it has we have an outstanding Ritz quality program.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Just let's take that tangent for a second.
Sure.
As far as the process excellence, as far as the Six Sigma aspect of Ritz-Carlton, what can you let us know? I know you're an originally Starwood person, but do you have any insight on the brand as far as...
Well, so it's all around the program on the Ritz-Carlton quality program side, the global it's centered around servicing the guest. Mm-hmm. It's all ladies and gentlemen servicing ladies and gentlemen. Mm-hmm. And the quality program is aligned to how do you continuously make sure that happens. And they do follow a lot of the Lean Six Sigma principles and partner with hotels on areas and looking at metrics of which metrics are we falling short on that enable us to service the guest. And they do something very similar to what we do, and we have great partnership with that team.
Yeah.
And alignment with that. They right now are playing in the arena of the brand. With 30 brands, there's lots of love to go around, right?
Sure.
We can't tackle it all on our own.
Yeah.
And so the Ritz quality team is primarily focusing on our luxury brand segment. Mm-hmm. And then our program focuses on the rest of the brands.
Got it.
But we definitely have strong core alignment between each other.
Yeah, and you're saying they'll go above and beyond, ladies and gentlemen, servicing ladies and gentlemen, they'll go above and beyond and do really anything. And your point is, but there's a Six Sigma backbone there, too.
Right. And they do have that as well. But yes.
Yeah.
Yep. So that's been the surprising part is the welcomingness to it and the adoption. Yeah. And, it's always surprising to me. I should say surprising. It's very heartwarming when you go and visit hotels and you have associates coming up to you and talk about how much easier their jobs have come because they've adopted the Six Sigma principles.
How great. Isn't that like the point of living almost?
It
right?
It is. I was on vacation at one of our hotels, a personal vacation. The chef came out of the kitchen, and he had taken Greenbelt training 5-6 years ago and talked about how, to the day, he'll look at a line and say, how can I do this better? How can I get the food to the guest better? That's great. And that will bring a tear to my eye.
Yeah, there you go.
So
there you go.
That's what makes it all worth it and rewarding in the business.
Yeah. What's most surprised you in life?
Let's see, in life. That's a really tough question. Probably the fact that I'm actually doing what I did in college. I mean, how many? It's that I was fortunate to find that passion and I've stuck with it and continue to grow, and you really embrace it. It's a lifestyle. I can't turn it off. I mean, the tools come both at work and they come at home, and I have a really organized 5S garage. So, but it's really, and I think in life I was very fortunate to find a passion for what I want to do. Yeah. So early.
You mentioned on vacation you can't turn it off. I mean, are you able to even like? If you need a towel on the beach, it's always there, isn't it?
It doesn't even matter if it's in hotels. We were standing in line at a road stop on a road trip and standing in line for fast food for lunch, and it was taking way too long. My husband just turned to me and goes, "This is driving you completely nuts, isn't it?" And I was like, "Yes, why is that guy on that side of the line?" So it's...
Now, will you jump in?
Oh, no, because that would be embarrassing.
Okay,
but
so
yes, I would. I mean,
so here's the thing.
I have been known to fix some things that have crossed my path.
This is
change signs or move something.
You will do it, right?
Oh yeah, I will, but I won't be like. I'll try and not draw attention to myself.
I think that I'm with you. I think that I might be somebody that should go through this training, and I'll tell you why. Because I very much appreciate it. Of course, I host a podcast on it, and I'm the most impatient person there is. And my girlfriend, when she sees me getting impatient, tries to calm me down, and it's good. She just, gives me a look. But we're online for train tickets, and it's one of the automated tellers, right? And so I'm in the back of the line, and everyone's doing it wrong. The first person does it wrong, and then it takes them 5-10 minutes. The next person does it wrong. And it's obviously we're in the vacation line, right? Of people that don't do this. And so what I did, I went to the front of the line, and I just started to interview the person. Where are you going? Okay. Round trip? Okay. And I'm just doing the thing. Okay, put in your code. Go. I'll look away. And so I literally became.
You have a natural tendency towards it.
Yeah.
It sounds like yes.
So I gotta get into that. All right.
Yeah.
On the soundtrack of your life, one track, one song that's got to be on there.
one track, one song?
Yeah.
You're
So
like a
it-
song?
Yeah,
Like-
so it doesn't have to be the perfect song. It doesn't have to be the most appropriate song. It doesn't have to be, anything in particular. But on the soundtrack of your life, we've just talked about a fair amount of your life. There's probably a few songs that should be on the soundtrack. We just need one of them.
You mean like I Will Survive?
Oh, sure. That'll
That's-
work.
Yeah.
Gloria
And-
Gaynor, I believe.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, that would be up there.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's take that one.
Okay.
Sally, very much appreciate the time.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
And there you have Sally Toister. A little bit of process excellence, a little bit of customer experience. If it's facing in, she's got it. If it's facing out, she's got it. So Sally can do a little bit of everything. Very much appreciate her time. Very much appreciate yours. Stay tuned.